Spectators are expected to line the banks of this Port Noarlunga region to watch all the action. And the men who'll be describing all the action will no prizes for guessing this. They're the men who've been describing surf life-saving action for the past 2 decades and more. And I'm referring to the golden oldies of the surf, Norman May and John Donoghue.
Thanks, Mark. Well, I reckon, John Donoghue, that you're the goldie and I'm the oldie. I started off a couple of years before you, didn't I?
Yeah, I think that's about right, too. You're a lot older than I am. And I was able to watch you for many years before I broke into the senior ranks. Just about that era as you're retiring, because that's when you went into TV.
I think 1958 for me, about 1963 for you.
That's correct. It's 1963. It was 1961. I won my last Australian Championship actually on this beach.
And that made 3.
That's made 3.
We were back here 4 years ago. That was the second time we came here. And we had a bit of a surf on the Saturday, but not today.
No, it's not today. It's a southeaster wind blowing. And of course, that's proven very successful for the ski paddlers with a bit of a chop out there and also assisting the boats. But about 90 metres off the beach, as this wave comes up, it gives the opportunity for the swimmers to pick up a wave and come through the beach. It's very even conditions. Of course, the best swimmer surfers should win, the best paddlers and the best ski paddlers should win. Also, it's a great benefit to the boat rowers, for those crews that have been training hard through the year to come out here and have true conditions, yet very fair conditions to sort out the Australian Championship.
Well, you look at the carnival, it's getting bigger and bigger. I mean, you look at the beach area they're occupying today, it's one of the biggest events in Australia these days, isn't it?
Well, there's over 4,000 competitors over the weekend, and when you consider that the area spreads over 1,000 metres of beach, and somewhere over the weekend there will be 30 to 50,000 people come down and have a look at these Australian Championships. And of course it's being televised by the ABC, so it's a great number of people, probably something over 500,000 people will watch the championships over the next week.
And of course the big event, the one that everybody talks about these days, is the Ironman.
Yes, the Ironman's been an interesting title since 1964, and most certainly it's the most favourite one in surf life saving today. And of course the local hero, Dwayne Tyers, is the national champion, and he'll be trying to defend his title successfully here over the weekend. Of course, you've got strong competition from both Victoria, Queensland and New South Wales, and don't forget the Western Australians. It's a great race to look forward to.
And of course, Grant Kenny's still there. He's getting towards the stage now. He's going to be very tough to beat. A lot of experience.
Well, he's a lot of experience. He's a great competitor, and he's got 4 of these titles under his belt. I still think he's under the age of 25, and most certainly we can't discount him at the moment.
So the Ironman's going to be one of the great features of this telecast. Let's get on now with the show. The Grand Parade and March Past and the event today made more spectacular by the strong southerly breeze, and we see the standards fluttering in that breeze. And the first major team we'll see will be the defending champions, and they're North Cronulla from New South Wales. Now, in the last 26 years, only 3 clubs have won this event. They're North Cronulla twice, Bundaberg from Queensland 14 times, and Collaroy from New South Wales 11 times, although in once with Bundaberg there was a triple dead heat years ago. But this, I would think, is the most open March Past in years, because there are many chances in this event. We've had all of the state champions we'll see, and here's, you can see the standards, of course, have been wrapped around the pole there because of the strength of this wind. And they're coming with it now from south to north, but very tough when they go in the other direction. Beautifully balanced team. Look at no movement of the head. They're quite a level, good marching team.
It's a great sand to march on too, Norman. It's very hard, and of course it makes it very even for the marchers to put their feet down without the ripples and the tunnels within the sand, and of course it helps them tremendously in their marching on the beach.
Now here's the Collaroy team, a giant in March Past competition, and the standard bearer is a giant in Australian lifesaving, Dick Twite, famous Australian lifesaver, captain of the Australian team to South Africa, way back in the 1950s, about 1954, still competing, and this team, as I said, 11 times the Australian champions since 1959.
And marching superb. You saw how well they marched yesterday, and of course Dick has got them leading them out there in perfect marching fashion as they come up the area now. Timing is superb, and also the swing of the arms, a strong favourite for today's competition.
Well, it's a very interesting draw in today's competition, because right behind the Collaroy team we have the great Queensland combination from Bundaberg. Now, the Bundaberg team are the Queensland champions this year, but our spies in Brisbane said, well, they didn't seem to perform that well, and their title or their great record may be in danger today, because, as we said, this is a very open event.
Of course, we've seen them marching on the beach over the last 4 or 5 days, and they've been practising very, very hard. And when they get this concentrated effort of being down at the national championships and marching the way they have, most certainly they're not ones you can discount at the moment. Bundaberg, Queensland, marching very strongly.
Now, right behind Bundaberg, we have the South Australian champions, and here they are, Southport. And again, we must emphasise, you'll notice in these teams are quite a lot of women competitors, because women now are an integral part of the life-saving movement in Australia.
Their costumes are great too, Norman, aren't they, when you look at them? Certainly they're the new, very shiny, and of course they're marching very well. South Australia has come up tremendously in team events over the last couple of years, and there we see their state champions marching there, and before a home crowd, they've got to be considered a strong contender to take this event out.
The Moore Park team from Queensland, with the second place getter to Bundaberg in the Queensland titles, they're also a strong contender. I think from what I've seen so far, there's a lot of good competition here, and there's been a lot of work gone into this march past by these teams.
Yes, and they're very aware of the position the judges are in each position they come up to, and they're adjusting all the way around the arena. But most certainly Moore Park are marshalling well.
Now moving down to Seacliff from South Australia, and you can see that giant flag again behind them of the Western Australian champions, that City of Perth. So Seacliff followed by the Western Australian champions, and you can see the effect of that breeze blowing very, very strongly, and some of the big flags, it shows it's pretty tough marching into it. Now, one of the favourites for the event is the Freshwater team. They won this event yesterday. That was the non-championship. They are the New South Wales title holders, but I'm surprised, John, by the gap between the Freshwater team and City of Perth in front of them, that there is an alignment gap in this business. Now, you see, we're not actually seeing the right team, but ahead of Freshwater, there's a gap of about 30 or 40 metres. They must surely be deducted for that. Now, look at this. Now, that is too far away for the team behind.
Yes, of course, Freshwater are picking up their own timing as they come through there. The standard-bearer has decided that he believes his timing is going to be better than that's Mick Griffin, the treasurer of Freshwater, and of course he's a former Australian junior R&R champion in the 48-49 era, and we see him being the standard-bearer for the march past, and they're marching well and a strong contender again for today's event.
And that's a lovely view looking down from the helicopter of this grand parade here on Maona Beach, and of course the next to appearing close up, the Victorian champions, Warrnambool. So we've seen all of the great teams so far, and so Warrnambool then coming in as the Victorian champions again must be some sort of a chance to run at least a place in the event.
Yes, it's, you've got to consider the state champions come with a big rap on them from their each state, and of course the judges from those states know them best, so they've got a good position to contend the championships today. And Warrnambool have marched strongly over the years, taking the Victorian title, and hope to do a place in the national title.
And here's the official result of the march past, a win by Old Club Freshwater, their first win since 1957. Bundaberg second and Southport, South Australia third. And John Donoghue, remember 1958 when we were over in Perth with the scratch team? We were the defending champions. I marched, we were beaten. And who won the event?
North Bondi with the scratch team again of R&R, and both crews put together and came away with the Australian Championship. A memorable day.
Lining up now for the start of the open surf teams race. There has been a full start here on the start of there. Bill Ingram down the front is getting the team lined up. 6 teams, each with 4 swimmers. First one home gets 1 point, second 2, and so on. And the lowest total for any team wins the event. And away they go. We have Freshwater, New South Wales, Manly, New South Wales, Southport, Queensland, Surfers Paradise, Queensland, Anglesea, Victoria, Wollongong, New South Wales, and some very good swimmers in this event, John Donoghue.
Yes, in the event representing the clubs, we've got a lot of former Australian champions of both belt swimming and, of course, going from cadet, junior to senior. And Darren Bogg and Paul Morford representing Freshwater with 2 other swimmers in Michael Venice and Mark Scully. Every one of those swimmers at one time or other has been an individual Australian champion. Of course, Manly has Craig Riddington and Guy Leach, those famous Ironman, followed by Julian Taylor and Darragh McFarlane. Southport, Queensland is John Boxall, Gary Watson, Adam Sandbrook and Brett Paul. Surfers Paradise, Queensland is John Brennan, Trevor Hardy, Jeff Van der Graaf and John Cook, a very strong team. Of course, Anglesea in Victoria is represented by both seniors and juniors in this senior event, with Cameron Leach, Barry Barclay, Paul Sims and Todd Sandringham. Wollongong has one of those famous McKeans in Michael McKean, Gary Lord, Todd Boardland and Jonathan Crow being juniors, making up the seniors in the senior event. The first swimmer around the buoy at the moment. Coming through here, we see Southport as well placed too. Manly over there with Julian Taylor swimming in front. Coming up on his outside is Craig Riddington. It's going to be Taylor around the buoy first. There's Taylor, followed by Riddington. So there's two swimmers around and Freshwater coming through on the outside and a Southport on the outside of them. That's a big break we got there by the leading swimmer as he comes through. It is Riddington now has taken over the lead. He got through on that turn. And we're seeing him coming up now to the black buoy. He's got to go up to the red and yellow. He's got two buoys to go, and he's got a nice lead. But look at the power of those swimmers on the other side of him coming through. Nothing separating these swimmers. Riddington will turn now and head back to the beach. Now, Riddington is swimming very, very strongly. He should hold this well, but have a look at Michael Venice from Freshwater coming through very fast. And down on the other side, we see the other swimmer from Manly coming through very nicely in Guy Leach and also Julian Taylor. At the moment, it looks like Manly are well placed in this Senior Surf Teams Championship. And, of course, behind them, as we see Freshwater swimming very strongly also.
Remember that the event is decided on the finishing places of all four swimmers, and the total is the thing that counts. Now, the Manly team are in light blue caps, the Freshwater team in red and white quartered caps, and they're the two favourites for this event.
There's nothing separating them, and of course there's a wave or two that could upset as they get through to the beach. There's a slight wave coming up. It won't be any assistance to them in a break, but it'll give them a slight lift. There's going to be a couple push for it. Morford's the first one to have a go, to have a look at Riddington going for it too, and also Michael Venice. And now the next one that comes up is going to be 3 or 4 swimmers on it, and of course it's going to be the run up the beach that counts. It's a very even bottom, so anybody is going to get the right break. There's a lot of speed out there, and of course they're very puffed. When they get to their feet, it'll be a little unsteady. It's the quality at the finish that will count, and at the moment it's still Riddington in front, and they've got about 10 metres to go before they start standing. Coming through very fast is Southport. He's come through on a little bit of wave, and here's the wave at the back. It's going to cause the upset. There's a few that's going to push themselves over. There's Morford standing to get over it. We see on the other side we've got a Southport on it, and Southport's pushing through nicely. And there we see Michael Vanessa up and running. He's going to be the first to the dry sand. It's Michael Vanessa Freshwater that's come through into the first place. Behind him is going to be a great race between Southport coming through fast and Craig Riddington and Manly. Then Paul Morford from Freshwater. Behind him, Guy Leach and Manly. Then coming back is Garrenbogger Freshwater Southport. Behind him, Surfers Paradise, and another Southport man behind that. So we have 2 Manly, 3 Southport on the beach. Here comes Surfers Paradise. Anglesea Victoria's in there now with the competitor, another Southport, and there comes the last 2 Manly swimmers on the beach. Then Anglesea, Surfers Paradise, and then Wollongong, Anglesea, and behind them we see Michael McKeon being the last one to the beach.
Well, I was right with the Freshwater points, 24 if they've won the event, of course, but I misread one of the caps then. It was actually Southport of Queensland who came into second place with 31 points and Manly New South Wales third with 36. So the winner of the open surf teams, Freshwater, New South Wales. The field lined up now for the Longboard Championship of Australia. This is the first of the major craft finals. And on the far side, in station number 1, the defending champion, Mick Rora from Manly. He's won this event 2 years in all. Then we have Mark McCleary Maroubra, Craig Shelton from Surfers Paradise Queensland, Chris Bourne from Surfers, Dwayne Tyers from Seacliff South Australia, the Ironman champion, Alan Morgan of Christie's Beach South Australia, David Orchard from Surfers Paradise Queensland, Brett Huey from Freshwater New South Wales, John Anderson Stockton New South Wales, the veteran Steve Warren from North Cronulla has won this event 4 times in all, Darren Schott of Maroubra, Neil Johnston of Cronulla, Lee Horwood of Manly, who won this event in 1982 here at Moana, competing for Queenscliff, and finally on the extreme left-hand side, Steve Linton from North Cronulla, with the defending champion Mick Porra down the right-hand end in position number 1.
Yes, it is a strong lineup of paddlers, particularly when you think you've got paddlers of the ilk of Steve Linton, who's been competing for many years, first for Swansea Caves, Swansea Belmont, and then down to North Cronulla, and he's made the final of this event. It's a great effort to him. Of course, Lee Horwood, being another old-timer, a past Australian champion, is there too. David Orchard from Surfers Paradise is a very strong paddler, paddled well throughout the weekend and is a strong contender for this title, because we can't take away from Dwayne Tyers, who is paddling very strongly too. At the moment it's a great break off the beach, and the people on the southern side getting the best of the break, and that's Steve Lenton and Neil Johnson of Cronulla getting a good run, and then Lee Horwood is also paddling strongly. Out there in the middle we see coming through very nicely is Steve Warren from North Cronulla, and of course John Anderson from Stockton, a very tall paddler, is paddling very strongly also. The paddlers are now getting back into the centre of the area, each end coming towards the middle, and there we can see Mick Porra coming through very nicely. But it's still Lee Horwood in front at the moment on the left-hand side of the field, and we see the difficulty with the other paddlers behind him. Coming over this side we see Mick Porra now coming through, and you see those 2 Manly competitors coming through through right at the moment, and they'll be trying very hard to get the front to get to the turning buoy first. And of course there you see the two paddlers leading at the moment. Mick Porra is now coming into the front of Lee Horwood, and of course they're sandwiched right out to Stephen Warren as those paddlers are getting to that first turning buoy. Now watch the action as they go around there. There's no fouls by us. Porra on the inside, Lee Horwood on the second. And of course we saw Stephen, the paddler there in the singlet, and would have to go back to see who it was, getting a lot of difficulty. He dropped his legs to get his balance, and he's back. It looks like a freshwater competitor. Looked like Brett Huey at freshwater got a little bit of a problem, and coming through there is the other competitors. But there's the paddlers now trying to get around the buoy, and that's the problem you have if you're caught in the bunch. And you see the difference it's made to those leading competitors. Now at the moment we assume that Mick Porra has switched through to the inside, and he's got Lee Horwood on the outside, and that's the way they look as they return back to the beach. But there, back to the chopper shop, we see the perfect spread of the paddlers now. That's Horwood's dropped back into third. Have a look at this paddler coming up here on the right-hand side. Appears to be Orchard from Surfers Paris. Now it looks like Dwayne Ties in a black cap coming through. And of course, coming through on top of him is Mick Porra, and behind them we see the other paddlers. But here's the little chops we were talking about. Look at the run on that one as the paddler coming. It looks like Mick Porra has picked it up, and he's going to sit on it very, very comfortably. They're right in the glare now, but there's Mick Porra, and you can see what assistance that wave gave him as he comes through to the beach. And it's a great run now, and he's picked it up. He's going to hold it right through to the beach, and he's coming through. We can see Mick Porra coming through the beach, giving himself a nice little hand. In second place looks like Dwayne Ties, a Seacliff into second place, and behind him we see it Surfers Paradise. Orchard is coming through. A great race there between Maroubra and Surfers Paradise for third place. So it looks like Mick Porra Manly first, Dwayne Ties of Seacliff second, and a battle for third place between David Orchard, Surfers Paradise, and Mark McCleary of Maroubra.
Well, Mick, you've now won 2 longboard championships in a row and 3 in all. You must feel as if you've got a mortgage on it.
Well, not exactly a mortgage, Mike. It was a very tough race. It's probably the best field that we've seen in longboards for a long time. And I had the good alley off the beach. I was very happy. I was lucky with the number 1 alley, I think, and which put me on the inside coming around the buoys. And probably about, I'd say, 30 or 40 metres from the beach, a little bit of a wave popped up, and a guy either side looked like they were going to come over for a second, and they just couldn't get over it, and I got it, and so it was very tight right through to the finish.
So pretty much the race went to plan then?
Yeah, I'd say so. I knew that I had to lead to the cans with the way the wind's blowing out there. There's some really, it's quite choppy, and I knew if I was going to win, I had to get first around the can. So I gave it everything I had to the can, and then just tried to hang on from then on. Just really on memory, really the last 100 metres, I guess. I was just trying to hang in there.
Would you like the conditions like that?
Yeah, I do, because I'm fairly light, and some of the big guys are a lot stronger and more powerful. And when it's smooth, they tend to go better. They can get big, long strokes, and when it's choppy like this, I can get my rating up high and get on the chops, and I'm not pulling as much weight through, so it benefits me having it nice and choppy like this.
And now the official result. First placing to Mick Porra from Manly, New South Wales. Second placing, Dwayne Ties from Seacliff, South Australia. And that very close third placing went to Darren Schott of Maroubra, New South Wales. Moving into position now, the field for the open double ski final. From the right-hand side, in position number 1, Ian O'Brien, Lewis Sultan from the Currumbin Beach Vikings on the Queensland Gold Coast. Beside them from Alexandra Headlands, a great team of Grant Kenny and Danny Sheard, the 1983 champions. Beside them, number 3, the light blue of Greg Bennett and Steve Wood, the defending Australian title holders. In number 4 we go along to Adrian Norton and Jeremy Norton from Burnie in Tasmania. Beside them in number 5, Anthony Orwin and Peter Foster from Torquay. Next, Ian Rowland and Shane Wooden from Southport, South Australia. Greg Fattel and John Burrows from North Wollongong, New South Wales. We've just popped past them for a second. Geno and Mark Brown from Byron Bay. Then we have Doug Reynolds and Greg Juniper from Christie's Beach in South Australia. Tim Munro and Cliff Golding from Torquay in Victoria. Then the great team from Byron Bay, Peter Clark, Barry Kelly, and finally Waldhauser and Parry from Burnie in Tasmania. And I believe a couple of Olympians there, John Donoghue.
Yes, we have the bronze medalists from the 1984 Los Angeles Games in Barry Kelly and Grant Kenny. And of course, they're paddling in different clubs and in different crews today. They're opposition to each other. And we have Grant Kenny and Danny Sheard, who won this event in 1983. And of course, Greg Bennett and Steve Wood have won it last year. At this stage, we've got Barry Kelly won it in 76. They're away to a great start because it's going to be very even for all the paddlers as they proceed out to sea. Very interesting to note, Norman, the pair from Manly, Greg Bennett and Steve Wood, in their jumpers to stand out, maybe for a very close finish, because there's nothing going to separate these paddlers as they proceed out to sea, and on the return back to the beach, they'll get not much assistance from the sea, and they're going well. But we see the paddlers there running very... Look at Torquay right at the front. They're going very nicely. We got Oren and Foster from Torquay are slightly in front of Wood and Bennett from Manly. And look at that perfect picture as the ski paddlers. Look at the pace. These are the fastest craft in there, other than the rubber duckies and the jet boats at the moment over a short course. And look at the speed they're going. And each one of those paddlers has a foot control that enables him to get the direction he wants. But Torquay, and that's Oren and Foster from Torquay in front of Bennett and Wood of Manly, and they're paddling very, very strongly. Over to the other side, we see Grant Kenny and Denny Shedd coming into third place, and over on the other side, we've got the people, Greg Jibber and Dave Reynolds from Christie's Beach, who are paddling very strongly too. Out in front of our picture at the moment, we see the first turning mark, and they're going out there at the moment, but there's nothing separating them. Now, have a look at the positioning for these paddlers as they come up to the turning buoy. We've got a good picture from our helicopter. See the judging boat there, and I'll give no room away at all. We see the first crew around there, Torquay, and on the inside we see Manly, and there's nothing separating them now. They'll start to jockey for positions to get the assistance from the breeze or to get any assistance from the sea. And you see the paddlers going across to the pinnacle of the course. That's the turning mark furthest out to sea, and there's still the pair from Torquay is going exceptionally well. They're in front of Bennett and Wood from Manly, and behind them Shedd and Kenny of Alexander Headlands. But there's the whole lot of the crews now, and these are all top paddlers. As they get there, they've got to give it away. But have a look coming through on the inside. We see Kenny and Shedd from Alexander Headlands coming through, and also coming right through is Wood and Bennett from Bennett and Woods from Manly.
John, that was a marvellous piece of work by the Manly pair there. What they did on that last turn, between those, the apex, they went on the inside run, and actually in that short period got ahead. And we can see the replay of this now. Just watch the two crews.
And there you can see it now. They're coming right through on the inside. There's the middle there, and I'll come right back to the leaders there. And then we see the Manly pair coming through on the inside, and on the other side, Torquay. Both have got blue caps, but one's got a yellow stripe, and they're right up to the start now. But going back to the race, and we see now in the middle the pair with the jumper. That is the pair coming through very, very strongly. That's Bennett and Woods from Manly. Then we've got Orwin and Foster from Torquay coming through on the left-hand side. And out further, we've got the bar and pay pair of Clark and Barry Kelly. They're coming through in third place, and behind them coming down is the Currumbin pair. But at the moment it's still Manly being pursued very hard by Torquay. They're putting the big ones in now, and they've come right up to them again. They're running on top of the chop. But have a look at Manly positioning over. They're following the top of that chop over to Torquay. And what a race this is going to be. It's going to be anybody's finish. Torquay are getting the best of the run at the moment. And right there we can see Minot and Golding from Torquay coming through very nice. That's Orwin and Foster too. But it's going to be Torquay and Manly as they come through, and behind them a whole host of competitors. But at the moment, Bennett and Wood are putting the big ones now. It's going to get who's going to get the best of the run as they come through. But it looks like Manly's going to get the best run. Torquay's going to fall off the back of that one. It looks going to be a crash, but it's going to be Manly who are going to come through in the first place. And behind them, have a look at Currumbin coming through. It's going to be anyone's race, and it's going to be Manly across the line first. It's going to be a great battle, just getting inside the flag with Torquay, and Currumbin appear to be in third place. But what a very close finish, particularly with that flag.
Now we'll look at this finish again. Now the important point here, you see that flag, that is the extremity of the area, the northern area. Now the two leading crews were outside the area. Currumbin had the much better course. Now watch what they have to do.
Well, see here is you've got Manly pushing Currumbin further out. It's good to see tactics. Currumbin noticing they'll come through. Manly are blocking them through. Now they're going to run on the wave, and they're coming through the flag. But on the other side will come in Currumbin. You see Currumbin coming in fast. Now Manly are through, and also Torquay got through, but maybe Currumbin came through right at the finish and came into second place.
And here's the official result. A win again to Greg Bennett and Steve Wood from Manly, second year in a row. Second placing to Ian O'Brien, Lewis Salton, Currumbin, Queensland. And third placing to Anthony Irwin, Peter Foster, Torquay, Victoria. There was a protest by the Torquay pair, but it was knocked back on a couple of grounds, I think. First of all, they were never in front. And secondly, even if it was upheld against the Manly pair, the Currumbin team would have beaten them, so the best they could hope for was a silver medal, but the protest was dismissed, and bad luck to the Torquay boys, but congratulations again to the Manly pair in retaining their title. The surf reel is a reminder that the next event is one of the features of the whole program, the Open Belt Race. And here are the competitors. In number 1 position, the Queensland champion, Mark Rayburn, the tall figure there. Beside him in 2 is Adam Sambrook, also from Southport. In position number 3, the 2 blue caps of Coogee and Chris Gately just down at the water's edge. Peter Tibbets from Cronulla, a very experienced beltman, in position number 4. Richard Ford of Cronulla next to the left in position number 5. And finally, the 2 blue caps, from the 2 blue caps, the red and white quarters of Freshwater, and Michael Venus is the beltman.
It's a very strong lineup of belt swimmers, and of course they won't get much assistance from the sea, but there is a very, very big rip out there, which wind current, which will take their lines across to the right of our picture, and of course it will all be in the hands of the crew. They're away to a good start, and we see all the beltmen don their belts and head out to the water now.
Let's see them again from the right-hand side. In position 1, swimming to the red and yellow boy, is Mark Rayburn from Southport, Queensland. In position number 2, swimming to the black boy, is Adam Sambrook from Southport, Queensland. Number 3, swimming to the green boy, is Chris Gately from Coogee, New South Wales. Number 4, swimming to the red boy, is Peter Tibbets of Cronulla, New South Wales. Number 5, swimming to the blue and white boy, is Richard Ford of Cronulla, New South Wales. And finally, swimming to the yellow boy in position number 6, is Michael Venus of Freshwater. The belt race is the only events in these carnivals which finish out to sea.
Well, the best off the beach was Michael Venus of Freshwater. He got a great big break on the southern end, swinging from number 6. And next to him also is Richard Ford of Cronulla. And both these swimmers are very powerful swimmers. And coming very fast on the extreme right-hand side is Mark Rayburn of Southport. Behind him, Adam Sambrook got a bad break off the beach. And Chris Gately was just a little bit behind him. Peter Tibbets seems to be tailing the field at the moment. But at the moment, you see the 2 competitors out there on the extreme left-hand side, Michael Venus of Freshwater and Richard Ford of Cronulla, really battling it out, and they're right on line for their boys. Tibbets is a little bit behind them, and of course Greg Gately is swimming with Tibbets. So further over we have Adam Sambrook from Southport, and Rayburn is swimming straight to his boy, and he's in the first 3 placings at the moment. Now, as you can see it there is Richard Ford in front, swimming very, very strongly. Behind him is Michael Venus of Freshwater, and as Richard Ford has got those boys in sight, and he's heading for it. He's going very, very fast. It's still Richard Ford is swimming very, very strongly to number 5, and he'll be swimming very, very strongly to try and get it. And there's no one that's going to pick him up at this stage. He'll be swimming to the blue and white boy, and it's going to be Richard Ford of Cronulla just about to get it to take his first Australian chance. There's Richard Ford of Cronulla in there first. In second place is going to be a great race, and we'll have to wait to see it. And coming into second place will be Michael Venus of Freshwater, and in third place will be Mark Rayburn of Southport, Queensland. So a great win to Richard Ford of Cronulla. Battled all the way with Michael Venus of Freshwater. Mark Rayburn right on his boys, wasn't giving anything away, but couldn't keep the pace of the younger competitors.
Well, let's have a look at an action replay of that finish. I think it's very important here. This is a very good effort by Richard Ford, but important, isn't it, John, how you finish these races. You don't muck around with these boys. Put your arm right over the top.
The arm's got to go over the top, and you've got to raise your hand at the same time. Now, watch Ford when he gets the arms over the top, up goes the hand, because at any particular time you can get pulled back off. And now watch at Venice, he'll do exactly the same thing. Up onto the boy, bang, arm straight up, and up on this side. We see him coming through very fast. It looks like Coogee got there. Oh, I can't see down on the other side. I think it was Rayburn got there, but our picture shows Coogee, but Rayburn wasn't in picture, and I'm sure he came into third place. A great win to Richard Ford of Cronulla.
Richard, I guess after going through the last decade as being Michelle Ford's little brother, it must be nice to win one for a change.
Yeah, well, in the surf I've been doing my best over here, and I sort of stepped out of her shadow, so I'm pretty happy with how I'm going here.
I must point out, though, not your first big win in surf life saving. You won, what, in Hobart a couple of years ago?
Yeah, I won the Open Surf in Hobart a couple of years, and so this is my first title since then, so I'm happy.
Everything go to plan out there?
Yeah, it's pretty much to plan. I would have liked to go on a bit further south, but I was swimming next to Michael Venus, so I couldn't go any further. We had to straighten up a bit at the end.
Great win, Richard. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot, mate.
And here's the official result. First, Richard Ford from Cronulla, New South Wales. Second, Michael Venus, Freshwater, New South Wales. And third, Mark Rayburn from Southport in Queensland. Well, can we call this one of the most attractive events on the program? It's the women's surf race. It was introduced last year. We have a big field from the left-hand side as we see them now, which is position number 1 is Lisa Hardy from Allura, New South Wales. Laura Lowe from Wanda. Jenny Messenger from Brighton. Sharon Muddle from Allura, a top swimmer. Natasha Barnes of Brighton. Anissa Locke of Fairy Meadow. Kim Rutherford of South Maroubra, a top stillwater swimmer. Nicole Watts of Helensburgh, Stanwalk Park. Anna Marie Hill of Southport, Queensland. Belinda Hardy of Allura. Heidi Tucker of Glenelg, South Australia. Jodie Larson of Cronulla, won the event last year. Debbie Wright of Coogan in Queensland. Melinda Mentha from North Cronulla. Kelly Lowndes of North Burleigh. Cassandra Sedgman, Yeppoon. Kelly Murphy, Allura. Susan McPherson of Manly. Sandy Powell of Grange. Perry Lee Gammy from Freshwater. Sharon Halson at Heresby from Toogan. Joanne Venus from Freshwater with the brother of the top swimmer Venus. Karen Hardy of Allura, and Lisa Curry on the extreme, there she is on the extreme left-hand side, triple gold medalist at the Brisbane Commonwealth Games, and what a costume that is.
It's a great costume, one that's designed particularly for Alexander Headlands, because we can see the front of it. We saw it coming on with its Alexander Headlands, and across the buttocks there, the Surf Life Saving Club, so emblem. So it's a great lineup of swimmers, and of course you've got 3 Hardys in there from Allura, all of one family, and they're all very strong competitors. Now it's a change to call the ladies Surf Life Saving Ansett Surf Championship, simply because it's only the 2nd year it has been run. And of course we saw Jodie Larson win the inaugural event last year, and very emotional after it, and they're away to a great start. These girls most certainly are as fast swimmers as possible. Lisa Curry choosing to go right-left off the beach. It's the first blue that she's made, because the rules state that you've got to be in the waist depth of water before you can cross over, and she's crossed over beforehand. We'll see if the official picks that up, but most certainly she positioned herself right out there, and she'll try and get the drift of the water as it comes through. Undoubtedly Grant has given her that tip, but he should have also told her you've got to be in waist depth of water before you can cross over. And there we see Lisa very well positioned there, and the girl Venus is just behind her, and Lisa is swimming very strongly, and most certainly has got the game sewn up at this early stage, but it's a long way to go, and you can see the drift of the 2 teams of swimmers, if you like to put it that way, is that you've got the right-hand side, and that's a big flurry of swimmers you've got there, and they're causing drag and big problems for themselves, and they're going to have to come south towards the end of the field. On the other side, we've got the other swimmers.
Now, can we show this quite clearly of what's happening in this race? It's a very important thing. That group of swimmers are all together. Away to the left, you see it now, Lisa Curry and a girl from Freshwater, that is Venus from Freshwater. They're the only 2 swimming in the right direction. All the others have to come very heavily against the chop.
We're just waiting for the leading swimmers to get to the turning buoy, and it looks like the North Burleigh cap is going to be the first round. The girl Lowndes is going to be the first competitor around, and she's going to get a big break on them at the moment, a half a buoy length. Coming behind them, we see the South Maroubra cap of Kim Rutherford has moved into 2nd place, and there's a whole host of swimmers coming through there into the minor placings. The best of them would be the girl Garmain from Freshwater, and the other girl from Fairy Meadow Lock. But it's going to be Lowndes around the boys in the first red and yellow buoy first, and behind them is Rutherford of South Maroubra, well positioned, and both those swimmers are now have turned around the buoy and they're heading back towards the beach. It's going to be a long race for them. We've seen earlier in the day the junior surf swimmers being swept a little bit north and reposition themselves for a big run up the beach. The girls immediately are heading south to try and pick up the lead as they go through and to adjust for the sea conditions out there. But right at the moment, Rutherford, it's Jodie Larson that's coming through with a big loping left arm, and she's moved through right in the middle. Now she's put the situation right through the girl Lowndes from North Burleigh, because she's got the difficulty now trying to break out of the drag caused by the other 2 swimmers. But right over there, I've been watching those arms of North Wollongong come through, and they've been coming through all the way through. It's a little swimmer from North Wollongong, and she's coming through. It's Larson putting in the big ones now to come right down the middle of it. She's gone past Lowndes and also Rutherford, and right over there on the other side we see the competitor from Sharon Muddle from Allura, and she's coming through nice. But it's Jodie Larson, who's a very good surfer, a very good finisher, that's coming right through at the moment. And here's a wave at the back. It could be a change in the leadership here. North Wollongong will have the first go, but we see Kim Rutherford stand up. Then at the back we see a competitor. There's Jodie Larson putting it through. Can she defend a title? Kim Rutherford's with her, and it's Jodie Larson who's got the best of the run. And she saw her winner the inaugural last year. Can she hold it off? It's going to be a great battle between Larson across the line first, Lawson and Kim Rutherford in the second place, and then further back to North Burling. What a great swim that was. And of course we'll have to wait for the judges. It could be a little interference at the finish, but we'll go back to it and have a look.
Well, let's look at the replay of that finish, and look at the bit of jostling there. I don't think that was intentional. What do you think, John?
No, I don't think it's intentional. They're running and they're veering for that post. We see Jodie Larson's running very, very strongly. Kim Rutherford's on her right and coming through. Rutherford is trying to get through. Larson's holding out of her. There's no interference, but she won't give ground. She doesn't have to give ground, and I most certainly give it to Jodie Larson in the first place.
Well, what a way to maintain your unbeaten record in the event, Jodie. A controversial finish to the race. How did you see it?
Well, I knew it was going to be a real tight finish. I knew there were going to be a couple of us getting up, and man, I just went for it. I don't know, there was a couple of problems that I reckon, but they gave me first, and that's all that matters to me. And you know,
as I mentioned, it's 2 years in a row now. That's the only time the event's been running. How did you find the competition this year compared to last?
I reckon it was just so much better. It was like last year. I don't think. I mean, it was a big race and all, but it was nothing compared to this year. We had some really fast girls in there, and I really didn't think I could win it again. But now that I have, I'm kind of surprised.
And I guess the aim now is to make it a hat trick next year.
Well, I got my HSC this year, and well, I'm not training till after that, and I'll just see what happens next year. I'll be going for it again.
Well done, Jodie.
Thank you very much.
And there's the official result. Jodie Larson, Cronulla, the second year in a row. Kim Rutherford from South Maroubra second, and Messenger from Brighton in third place, and that, of course, is Jenny Messenger. Over now to the open surf race, the big field. There's a great number of champions here. Defending champion, McKeon from Wollongong, Michael McKeon, Darren Bogg won in 1982, Paul Morford in 1981, Richard Ford 83, Max Becker 1979. They're all in the field.
What a lineup of swimmers it is. There's both swimmers and surfers there, particularly when you look at the likes of Morford, who's been there for a long time, and of course he's running in there very, very strongly. And you'll see Big Morford in the middle of it getting a great break. Now it's a very long course that the swimmers have got to go through here today, and they're not going to get any assistance from any waves, but it's a course which they're going to use a lot of surf ability with, because out there past the next 10 to 15 metres they start to run into wind patterns, and those wind patterns are causing a southeaster chop, and of course changing the direction of which the swimmers want to go. We've witnessed throughout the swimming events today where the competitors are broken into two camps, and again in the senior surf that is happening also. But there's going to be a great deal of power, because out there you've got some of the fastest swimmers in Australia, and of course you've got past Australian champions there also in Richard Ford and Max Metzger, Paul Morford, Darren Bogg and Justin Limburg, and Watson is a great swimmer from Southport. So they are going to start sorting themselves out and putting themselves into position. But Michael Venice from Freshwater is swimming very strongly. It's McKeon who has got the big break across the bank, and he's going very nicely. And with him on the other side is Paul Morford from the Southport, who's well positioned too. There's going to be a great deal of interest in these swimmers as they proceed out to the buoy. They're all following the leader at the moment, and the leader is positioned them fairly well. They're about the halfway mark out to the turning buoy, and they'll start to now swing around, sight the white buoy which they've got to look for, and head towards it, because the interest is going to be on that turning buoy. Well, there's Michael McKeon just turning the buoy now, successfully leading the field back to the first turning buoy. And it's McKeon of Wollongong who's in front, and on the other side in we see the great splash of arms of the other competitors coming through. And McKeon's got that break. We said he's 5 or 6 feet, and he's 6'3" in size, and we can see him, he's got a good break at the moment. But he's in front of the competitor there from Allura, who looks like Rick Pallis from Allura, and coming around him is a Cronulla swimmer also, and it will be Richard Ford of Cronulla in second place. So it's Michael McKeon in front of Richard Ford, both being past Australian champion. Of course, Michael McKeon, the defending champion. There's Freshwater, and you see them position themselves on the road turn to the beach. Now, let me explain something to you in this finish. Michael McKean, as I said, stands about 6'3", a renowned big wader, doesn't have the speed of his fellow Australian champion in Richard Ford, and he's positioning himself a little bit further north than he should be. Now he's going to have a lot further to swim and of course a lot further to run. At the moment it's still Michael McKean in front, but by God he's going to have to be a great runner to win this one. We can see Richard Ford has seen him over there. He's going like the Blue Angel to get through. Behind him we see Michael Venice of Freshwater, and look at the power of this. Justin Lemberger's behind him. Now it's still Michael McKean in front, but he's got 20 yards or 20 metres further to run than anybody else, and Richard Ford has seen it. He said, Michael, you're too far over. I'm going to take it home all the way, and there's no way you're going to get me. I'm predicting at the moment, I don't know how Ford wins, but most certainly he's swimming the best forward. He's swimming very, very strongly. Behind him, Justin Lemberg's coming through, and behind him we see Michael Venice coming through. Now it's still Michael McKean in front. He's way down there out of our picture, and of course in the middle of the beach he's running a little pocket of water. The first up is going to be Richard Ford of Cronulla. He's going to come out, he's going to make it a double, and it's going to be Richard Ford of Cronulla out in the first place. In the second place, McKean, I might add, is on the beach, will be Venice of Freshwater, and Freshwater are going to come through into Southport. Now, there is the situation, and we saw it, and Michael McKean, who led all the way, badly predicted and picked the way he should come home, didn't have the legs to run home and finished fourth. But a great win to Richard Ford in this Open Surf Championship, and what a race it was.
And as called by John Donoghue, first was Richard Ford of Cronulla, New South Wales, second Michael Venus, Freshwater, New South Wales, and third placing to Justin Lemberg, Currumbin, Queensland. The hapless Michael McKean finished in fourth place. And off they go on the Junior Surf Race final, a field here of about 25 competitors. This event for the last 2 years has been won by great Stillwater champions, Justin Lemberg in 1984 and Michael McKenzie in 1985. But looking at this field, we don't see any of the top Australian Stillwater swimmers there, but we can tell you that Dean Mercer from Austinmere, who just competed a few moments ago.
That's Dean Mercer. Darren, his brother, just competed a little while ago.
Well, the Mercer, they compete between them about 20 events, don't they, John?
Yes, they do. And if you look at Dean is a very, very strong swimmer. And because Darren is not only a strong swimmer with a great Ironman, and Dean's coming up behind Darren as a younger brother and doing exceptionally well. But it's a strong lineup of swimmers as they go there. Probably Stuart Hamlin of Maroochydore as being the stronger. We've seen him compete over the weekend. But it's interesting to note here, Norman, the course set by these younger swimmers as they head out to the buoys. It's like follow the black sheep of the team as they're swimming a long way off course, trying to adjust for that very strong south-easterly breeze off the shore and go out to the turning buoys, and we've seen it through there. Now they're probably in distance in swimming time 100 metres off their course at the moment, and they'll have to straighten up very shortly to come back. There's some very strong competitors in there, and of course they're representative of clubs throughout Australia. We have Peters of Trigg Island, Hanson of Cronulla, Harris of Ellis Beach right up in the north of Queensland, Phillips of Mooloolaba, Linden of Mooloolaba, Nutter of Surfers of Paradise, and Dean Mercer of Austinmere already mentioned, Osborne of Grange, and McGregor of North Cronulla, Carmen of Ellis Beach, again two strong swimmers from Ellis Beach, and Cooper from Port Noarlunga, the neighbouring beach here, or the Shire that we're sitting in at the moment. And we see Hanson and Hamlet going very well. And there's the Cronulla swimmer, it looks like he's going to be the first competitor up to the buoy, and he's around the buoy there first, and he's looking very good, and it looks like they're swimming very, very strongly on the way through. Now you saw the advantage they get as they come through with Cronulla going very, very strongly through that field.
Well, thanks very much. Yes, out here, and I say that one of the reasons for the strong divergence to the left is there's a very
It's Hanson of Cronulla. It's got the break on that buoy as he's coming through the red and yellow buoy now. Now you can see him in the sea conditions here. He looks like he's swimming in goggles. Ellis Beach coming in behind him, and Maroochydore just behind them.
You raised a very interesting point there, John. I don't think I've seen a surf swimmer for a long time competing in goggles. Now we'll have a look at a replay of this turn. The leading swimmer coming around the red and yellow buoy, and it looks to be quite clear to me, as you said, that he is swimming in goggles. That's you don't often see that in the surf.
No, well, they can't if it's a very big sea, and of course we see Hanson coming through, and there's the goggles he's got on. Now there'll be no advantage in, there's no lanes to follow out there in the surf. They're probably in 6 or 7 fathoms of water, and of course what they're doing is protecting their eyes from the salt, and that's enabling them to look up into the sunlight on the return back to the beach and to be able to pick their mark for that return. They're getting within 50 metres of the beach now, and there's nothing It's Hanson of Cronulla in front, and Harris is into second place. And of course, he's running very nicely, swimming very nicely too. Harris is from Ellis Beach up in North Queensland, and they're going to run right into the water's edge together. That's Harris coming through, and it's going to be who is the best wader of the day. It's going to get Harris is the first up onto his feet, and of course he's going to try and lift those legs out. It's Harris of Ellis Beach. It's the first up. Now look at the run they've got to come up the beach. You can see the angle which they do. That's going to be Harris of Ellis Beach. We saw him come through on the swim, and he's going to run across the line in first place. Now that's the first win ever to Ellis Beach. In second place is Hanson of Cronulla, and coming into third place is going to be a great battle. Trigg Island looks like in the third place, then Maroochydore, then Mooloolaba Bar, and that was a great win.
Well, a great cause of celebration up there in North Queensland because Tony Harris of Ellis Beach has made history by winning the junior surf race. Ben Hanson of Cronulla, New South Wales was second, and Gary Lord from Wollongong, New South Wales in third place.
Well, one of the most publicised sporting romances Australia's seen for some time has been that between the golden boy of the surf, Grant Kenny, and the golden girl of the pool, Lisa Curry. Now, I understand after much speculation the wedding's definitely on, is that right?
Yes, it is on.
Tell me a little bit about the big day. When and where is it?
Well, sometime after today, and it's in Queensland.
It's a bit of a secret still.
I can give you one tip. Westminster Abbey in August apparently is not available.
Oh, what a shame.
So we understand, yeah.
Tell me, what's it been like trying to conduct a relationship under the glare of publicity like you have done?
Oh, it's been surprising, actually, because we read a lot of surprises in the paper, a lot of things we didn't know of until we read the paper. Like we read the other day that we briefly split after the Olympics, which was total rubbish.
Has it caused any problems?
No, I don't think so, because Grant's been in the spotlight now for 6 years, since he was 16, and throughout my swimming career, you know, we always had media coverage, and I think it's really no different. We kind of grew up with it, so it's really, it's quite easy to handle.
Well, your public life, we'll leave your personal life out of it, but is that likely to change much once you get married?
Well, I don't think so. We've both got the same jobs to do. You know, I'll still be competing, and Lisa will be doing some training for her competition, hopefully. And as well as that, you know, she'll be still doing the usual work commitments that we've both got, and we'll be developing a few things which we haven't got going now business-wise, so they'll take up a bit of extra time, I'd say.
What about the competitive sporting side of things? Is that path likely to change at all?
I don't think so. In the next couple of years, though, I'd prefer to concentrate more on kayaks. 1988 Olympic year, and it's time now to put in some hard work towards that. So perhaps surf will be concentrating a little bit less on that now.
And I guess the big question then, Lisa, in what year can we expect to see some young Kenny or Currys joining the Nippers?
Well...
Oh, you got to be at least 6 years old before you can join the Nippers anyway, so that's a long way away.
Well, it won't be too far away. If I have my way, it won't be too long away.
And you, Graham?
Well, it's got to be at least 6 years, isn't it?
No, it won't be. No,
okay.
You'll make a terrific dad, I'm sure.
Well, congratulations. It's good to see, and we look forward to the wedding.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
And lining up now, one of the features again, the Open Malibu board race. In station number 1 in that red cap is John Anderson from Stockton. That's the Newcastle club with the red and blue. Alan Morgan of Christie's Beach in South Australia. Scott Watson of Southport in Queensland, the dark cap. Then Neil Johnson from Cronulla, that's the 2 blues. Barry Woodger from Currumbin, that's the green and white. Darren Schott of Maroubra, that's the red and blue. Gavin Hill of Grange in South Australia, that's the dark blue there. Steve Warren, the veteran from North Cronulla in the blue and yellow cap. Mark Bennett from Southport, the dark blue cap. Another North Cronulla man in Stuart Holman. And then a great double to finish this, Mick Porra from Manly, New South Wales in the light blue cap. And then Dwayne Tyers of Seacliff, South Australia. And what a tough pair they are.
Well, it's a tough lineup of competitors we've witnessed today. There's a lot of ability got to be shown for the winner of this event. Not much luck, but you've got to pick the alleys coming through. Dwayne Tyers won this in 1984, and of course Steve Warren won it 3 times, and we have the 5-time winner there in Mick Porra. And we see the competitors are now well on their way to the start of the event, and we see a great break off the beach by Schott of Maroubra there in Southport, and then we see Barry Woodger from Currumbin, and of course the leading competitors on the left-hand side, and that most certainly is Mick Porra of Manly, and behind him Dwayne Tyers of Seacliff, South Australia. And these competitors are absolutely top board paddlers, paddlers as they go through. So the leading paddlers that we see are Mick Porrer of Manly, Dwayne Thies of Seacliff and Stuart Holman of North Cronulla, and they're leading the bunch of competitors out towards the turning buoy. There's a long way to go, and they're really heading south to adjust for this strong breeze as they head out towards the sea. We have paddlers way down here on the northern side with John Anderson and also Alan Morgan, but they're a long way out at the moment and have to paddle against this breeze as it gets stronger. The idea with the paddlers is that they get out as far to the south as they possibly can before they get out there, and then they use the breeze coming across on their shoulder to bring them across to the turning buoy. Now the paddlers on the right-hand side of the beach have that problem, and they've got to go really further into it faster and earlier, or they're going to have to go into it, the wind of the deeper run a little bit later. At the moment, it looks like it's Cronulla. It's moved up into first place for the turning buoy. And look at that, going around the buoy at the moment. There's 4 buoys there. Boards are rowing. We see Dwayne Thies, North Cronulla has stopped. It's Shot of Maroubra is done well, and Mick Porrer is behind. So going through is Dwayne Thies. It's picked it up, but we should be able to go back for us. Immediately after this, we'll go back and show you. But have a look at the turn and the difficulties. Dwayne Thies at least got 2 board lengths there. Shot of Maroubra has come through. Porrer has dropped behind, and so has Holman. And look at the fun there on the buoy. There's no interference by any of the paddlers, but this is the difficult. This is what the surfing's all about. But let's go back now to the first turning buoy and have a look at the change of the lead.
And this is really spectacular television. The helicopter gives us this opportunity, and also our replay facilities give you a chance of looking at something twice, and I've never seen really a board race like this.
Well, there's Dwayne Thies, and here it is coming up to the first buoy. Now have a look at Holman's in front, Porrer's on the other side, Dwayne Thies is over this side. Now look at, he's pushed him into the buoy. They all have to stop. He has the furthest away to paddle. They can't move their boards in any way, shape or form. He's putting the big ones in, and that's right when he takes over the lead. For Shot is in second place, and then Porrer's moving in, and poor Holman gets pushed back. Now look at Thies, he's put him back into the situation again. That's great boardmanship, that's good surfing, and it's good sportsmanship, because there was no interference and everything goes right. Now going back to the race, they're about 100 metres on their return back to the beach, and have a look at that, what that has done to Dwayne Thies of Seacliff, South Australia. Now there's Thies, through all that, not interference, I don't want to suggest that something was wrong, just good positioning at the buoys, has been able to position himself well on the return back to the beach. Now all he's got to worry about now is that chop now hitting him on the right shoulder. You can see how it's running across him, and he'll be coming across that a little bit while he's in front, hoping to position to swing left to finish on the beach with any assistance from those little chops you can see. Mick Porrer is coming through very nicely, as is that Holland from North Cronulla, but right down there on the other side we see Shot from Maroubra who's trying to pull it through, but it's still Dwayne Thies that's best position. Now here's a little wave for Shot right down there. He's going to push himself up to it. Mick Porrer is going to try and lift himself with it too, but it's Shot of Maroubra has picked up the wave, but it won't be good enough to pick up Dwayne Thies, who's going to cross the line first. It looks like Shot of Maroubra is going to be in second place, and it appears at the moment pushing in front of Mick Porrer would be Holland of North Cronulla, but it's going to be a great race for third place between North Cronulla and Manly, but a good race, well judged, and tremendous craftsmanship to Dwayne Thies of Seacliff, South Australia.
And that Malibu win to Dwayne Thies of Seacliff, South Australia, a magnificent trial for the Ironman event later on. Second placing went to Darren Shot from Maroubra, New South Wales, and third placing to Stuart Holman of North Cronulla in New South Wales.
Well, the BP Surf Lifesaver of the Year award has come to South Australia. It's been won by David Swain from the Grange Club. David, congratulations on your win.
Thank you very much, Mark. It's a very proud feeling I have today.
Well, tell me, what does it mean to be named Surf Lifesaver of the Year?
Well, I suppose outside the competitive area, it's a prestigious award that all lifesavers throughout Australia, if they're so minded, would strive for.
You won the state title, which nominated you then for the Australian final, but what sort of chance did you give yourself of winning?
Well, it's the second year that I've won the state section of the competition. I suppose in that sense one always hopes that the second time round perhaps one will be successful. In fact, this year there were 2 other people that had won their state section last year and again this year, so that really in the end result it was anybody's guess who was going to be successful.
Well, obviously to win the award you've had an extensive background in the sport of surf lifesaving. Perhaps you could briefly tell us a little about it.
Yes, Michael, as to my club involvement, I'm part of the management team at the Grange Lifesaving Club. I'm also the club's chief instructor, involved in assisting people through the various awards that the association provides for them. At state centre level, I hold various positions, in official capacity with state centre. In addition, I'm the deputy superintendent and also the carnival referee for our state carnivals.
Well, a lot of work involved. What is it that you like about the sport?
I derive a great deal of satisfaction out of the education side, Mark. I enjoy assisting people through their awards. My satisfaction is seeing them in turn be successful. So I think that's the thing that keeps me going year after year.
Well, David Swain, you have indeed been successful. Once again, congratulations.
Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you.
And off they go in the open single ski race. Again, a field of 14. A heavy chop, the chop increasing as we get to the late afternoon. And once again round the triangular set of boys to come back to the beach.
Well, the competitors are well on their way now in this event, and of course they're running into a very strong sou'easter at the moment, but Torquay have got a nice break off the beach, as has Southport, and they're paddling very, very strongly.
I noticed there's Steve Wood of Manly, who was involved in the double ski win, and he's again using his singlet, or well, there's a bit of a sweater he wears, and makes him stand out in this field.
Easy to pick. I wish they'd all wear identifying colours there, but Southport are paddling very strongly there, and there's nothing separating any of these paddlers as they proceed out to the sea. At the moment, it's Torquay, Warrnambool, also Southport is paddling very strongly. Further back, Steve Wood is a long way back, but he's he's well positioned if this wind continues to blow, but he's got to start to come across to the field. Now at the moment, he's staying a long way back. There's the leading competitors now looking through. Woods is over there with the singlet. We can see him. He's in fourth position, and he's going to make a run around the back of these paddlers, and he's only hoping that they get tied up on the buoys.
One important point about this race, this is the biggest entry of any event in the Surf Lifesaving Championship Carnival. A total of 380 single ski competitors have entered for this race.
Have a look at Chris Bron. They're powering through from Torquay. That would be Foster from Torquay on the outside, and of course Kelvin Graham from Southport on the inside. But it's Chris Bron, the entrance New South Wales, that's well positioned here. Now he'll be trying to get a run across the board with the sou'easter at the moment behind the buoys to give him every assistance possible. But Kelvin Graham most certainly beat him in the weekend in the Interstate Championship, and he's on the inside of him, and with Peter Foster from Torquay, Victoria on the outside. And there's the three leading competitors at the moment. What a strong lineup of competitors when you've got Cliff Golding, a former Australian champion there, and Doug Iredale from Wanda also. But there's Chris Bond, the entrance New South Wales, powering down there at the moment. On one side, he's got Kelvin Graham on his right, and coming down in the middle, we see the competitor from Torquay, Peter Foster. And they're the competitors are leading the way all the way back to the beach now. They'll be trying to position themselves so they can get every run possible, and what we'll see is probably the lead change quite dramatically on the way through to the beach. There you see right now Kelvin Graham of Torquay, Southport, Queensland, coming through very nicely on the inside of Chris Bron, and he got the best of the lift then. So it's Graham of Queensland at the moment in front on the left-hand side or the right-hand side of Chris Bond, and Bond is putting. Now you see the lead change then, and you see the skis change. There is Kelvin Graham at the moment on the right of your picture, Chris Bond of the entrance on the left of the picture, and you can see the chop causing these skis to run a little bit off course, although there's no interference by any of the paddlers. Peter Foster from Torquay is running third. Now the paddlers will be coming into a scene very shortly where they can pick up the chop and get a nice assistance. There's the first run. Kelvin Graham getting on top of it, as is Chris Bond, and they're going to try and run on top of this. There is Peter Foster behind them, and they're going to try and run on this chop all the way to the beach. It's backing up again behind Kelvin Graham. And then coming in too is Chris Bond, but it's Kelvin Graham in front at the moment. He's running very, very close, nicely. Both competitors on the wave. They're running into the sunlight now, but it's Kelvin Graham on the left and Chris Bond on the right. They're getting right to the finishing line. Who's going to be? It looks like Kelvin Graham in first place, Chris Bond in second place, and Peter Foster in third place. And what a great race in the ski race.
The last three, we've got Graham moving
Well, the winner of this event, Kelvin Graham, I suppose, Kelvin, with respect, that can be regarded as something of an upset because there are 4 previous winners with a total of 7 championships in the field.
Yeah, I wouldn't say a complete upset, but I know Chris Bond was looking out for me all the way because I beat him in the interstate on the Thursday, so no, I wouldn't class it as an upset, no.
OK, let me try it a different way then. Nonetheless, you have been something of an underdog over the years, but things are really starting to fit together for you, aren't they?
Yeah, in the surf and in the kayak paddling, which I've just been doing, yeah, it's all starting to get together for me now. It's really firing up great.
The conditions out there to your liking?
Yeah, that's my kind of conditions where you've got the big winds and run the swells on the way home. Yeah, that's my kind of surf, yeah.
Congratulations on a great effort, Kelvin.
Thanks a lot.
The winner of the single ski event was Kelvin Graham from Southport in Queensland. Chris Bond of the entrance finished second, and Peter Foster from Torquay in Victoria in third place.
In the starter's hand, waiting for the final of the beach sprint, and it's going to be, in my book, between Clayton Carney of Coogee and the competitor from Fremantle and Dee Wyoden from Bronte. They're away to a great start, and look in the middle, it's Clayton Carney running very, very fast. Dee Wyoden at his back, coming through very fast. It's going to be Clayton Carney by a mile, Coogee by a mile, then further back to Fremantle. But it's Clayton Carney of Coogee who took that advantage. A great runner on the grass, hasn't won this since 1981, where he won the double, the Australian Beach Sprint Champion and the World Championship, and of course returning 5 years later and taking out Moana, South Australia.
Can we say, John, that there's conditions here for beach running? It's a very hard surface, and that must have suited Clayton Carney because he won that very, very easily indeed. The distance is only about, what, 90 metres?
Yeah, it's a 90-metre run, and of course what you've got to understand is the way they treated this beach. The beach regularly is very hard sand. In fact, cars park on the beach every day of the week. So what the council did in a real low tide is they went out into the water, brought all the wet sand right to the back of the beach a week ago, let it dry, and then spread it back down towards the water over the beach, and it made it soft for the runners.
Well, let's see that again, just how easily Clayton Carney wins. Of course, Clayton's in the middle of the field. His main rivals are over on the far side, but from here on, now his lead at the moment, I would say, would only be a metre or so, but over the last 15 or 20 metres, he increases that lead about 3-fold. Now, look at this. Look at this. He's doing 2 to their 1 in the closing stages. That's a brilliant win. And that beach sprint, a very easy win for Clayton Carney from Coogee in New South Wales. Darren Peters of Toogan in Queensland on the Gold Coast was second, and Grant Turner from Seacliff in South Australia finishing in third place.
We're witnessing now the officials getting ready to the finalists in the Junior Ironman Championship. Now there's a starter, brightly decked out in his vest, so everyone can recognise him. And he'll be trying to get these competitors away to a very even start. They're away to a great start. There's no broken water in front of them, and all ski paddlers have been dispatched from the beach very successfully. In the middle, we have the competitor from Surfers Paradise, who've got the best of the break, and they're right out there trying to position themselves in a situation to give them the best advantages possible.
Well, just running through them again for you. Reeves of Coffs Harbour in 1, Wright of Tweeds Heads in 2, Darren Mercer, the defending champion from Ostermere, Station 3, then Mick Bannister, Cronulla, Borland of Wollongong, Whittaker, North Cronulla, Nutter of Surface Paradise, Mercer of Ostermere, that's Dean Mercer, Greg Patricks of Allura, Hendy Surface Paradise, Peacock, Southport, South Australia, McDermott of Warriewood, Koski of Swansea, Beaumont, and Tonks of Nobby's Beach. And here's the helicopter view as they make their way out in the ski leg to the first turning buoy.
Well, Mercer most certainly has broken tradition, and he's jumped to an early lead in this first leg of the Ironman. And Dean Mercer there has gone very nicely, but he's very closely followed by Adrian Nutter from Surface Paradise. So there's Mercer going around the buoy first. Now look at the advantage he gets as he goes through. Then the Hendy we see from Surface Paradise. Then further back to Warriewood. It's a Warriewood competitor that's coming through into second place, and he's moving very nicely too. That's Tim McDermott of Warriewood. But at the moment, Hendy's picked up a chop. And on the other side, we see Darren Mercer. He stopped paddling. He's picked up a chop, and he's going to have a nice rest on the way home. It's very important for this. Mercer's got the best of the break. Now, he's a very strong swimmer. I don't know how strong Hendy is a swimmer. I know how strong he is on craft. And most certainly, he can't swim as fast as Darren Mercer. and it's Darren Mercer from Ostermere, New South Wales, first on the beach, and that's a great break for him because he's well positioned at the moment, and he's in a very strong position to go into the next leg, which is the board. He's followed by Trevor Hendy from Surfers Paradise. Then come behind him, we see Warriewood, then we see Wollongong, then further back to Coffs Harbour, then we come up to Nobbies, then back to Wollongong, and further back to Byron Bay, and then coming through is very fast is Petter from Cronulla, and also Surfers Paradise and Allura.
Now, as you called them, John, for the first changeover, leader was Darren Mercer from Ostermere, New South Wales. Second was Trevor Hendy of Surfers Paradise of Queensland. Third was Tim McDermott from Warriewood. Then Todd Borland from Wollongong in fourth place. And David Reeves of Coffs Harbour was running fifth.
Now, look at him laying down on the board. You can turn faster by doing that. That's what he's done. He'll come back up on his knees very shortly, but has decided to give his back and his neck a little bit of a rest at this particular stage, and realising he doesn't want to get up tight. You see him getting as close to the buoy as he possibly can. Now, that right foot that he's kicking there does cause a little bit of a drag, so now he's up, and he'll get the assistance he possibly can now from this. Now, what he's gone up for is he's got the wind coming in on his shoulder again, and he'll try to use that to push himself on the top of these chops, these sea swells and wind swells, to give him the assistance he requires back to the beach. There's still Darren Mercer, Ostermere, New South Wales, who's got a very handy lead, but Macerda Hendy has come through him very, very fast, and Darren Mercer has gone down north, come back south, and given away at least 20 metres, and that's the first mistake I've seen him made, and I hope he doesn't continue him. Certainly he's going to hit the dry sand fast, and he's in front, and we can see him there, and he's going to go around the flag now. Now, just consider he's got to do this course once more, and that's a swim, and he's only a junior, this kid, and he's doing it very, very nicely. And we have Trevor Hendy of Surfers Paradise not far behind him. So, as we called it there, Mercer made a few mistakes returning back to the beach in their board rig, and coming up into second place, we have the third competitor coming around. It looks like North Burleigh, but we'll have to wait for that one. It looks like Warriewood too. They're all the same caps. Now, here's the interest now as the competitors go. Now, we saw the big lead Mercer had in the ski. We saw how Trevor Hendy from Surfers Paradise pegged that lead back by a few mistakes made by Mercer, and also Hendy, with respect to Mercer, is a better board paddler. But now we see the swimming leg. Now, Mercer will have to go around this white buoy very cleanly, and he's held that lead very well, and with our helicopter we're able to see exactly that's at a second. Mercer goes around very close. Now, some swimmers will choose to flip over their back to cut that corner very nicely, but Mercer doesn't. He's at least 6 metres in front of Trevor Hendy, and Hendy's into second place now, and Mercer is actually sprinting at the back of the boys. Now, this is where they're getting the exact assistance from the wind that they want. This is where they can put in the power. And have a look at this young Darren Mercer go. He's up to the black buoy. There's a red and yellow to go, and that's the turning buoy for the way home. And Hendy hasn't picked it up, and he's got a full length of the buoys. That's 30 metres over the rest of the field. So it's Darren Mercer, Ostermere in New South Wales, on the way home for his second Australian Championship. Now, there's the beach, and we see Darren Mercer. He's got about a 50-metre swim before he gets to the wading area, and look at the wave he's going to try and push himself under now. See how he's swimming high. Now, if he'd stopped swimming there, use one arm, he would have got a better glide pattern on top of that wave, but he's not going to break his rhythm. He's not going to break it for anybody, because he wants to hit that dry sand first. He knows there could be a wave out the back, and it could upset him, but there's nothing going to upset Darren Mercer as he returns back to the beach. He stopped. He's going to push himself onto this little wave. 2 waves he's been able to pick up today, and he's held it very nicely, and the crowd are putting their hands together for a great surfing exhibition, a great Stanimar exhibition by Darren Mercer, Ostermere, New South Wales, running in for his second junior Ironman in succession. A great win, Darren Mercer. A long way back in the field, we see Trevor Hendy of Surfers Paradise, Queensland. He's looked around to try and adjust the rest of the field, but across the line first, Darren Mercer, Ostermere, New South Wales. Take your breath, Darren. Have a good rest, because in 12 minutes we want you to do the same thing in the open.
There's an alteration to this provisional result. You see, the third placing is different. I'll explain that in a moment. Darren Mercer of Ostermere, New South Wales first. Trevor Hendy of Surfers Paradise came in second place from Queensland. But Dean Mercer, who was third across the line, was disqualified for jostling. And Todd Borland of Wollongong, New South Wales, takes third place. And off they go in the big event, the open boat race. We have Bungan Beach from New South Wales in station number 1. At the moment, we're looking at Fremantle down in 5, but Bungan Beach are in 1. Palm Beach, New South Wales in number 2. Further across to Manly, New South Wales, the light blue caps in 3. Then Burnie from Tasmania in position number 4. The light blue boat of Fremantle from Western Australia in 5. Number 6 is North Cronulla, New South Wales. And on the southern side is South Maroubra in position number 7. 7 boats in the senior boat race final.
Well, nothing separating these crews as they proceed at sea now. Probably 100 metres off the beach, and already the chop is starting to hit them rather badly. But at the moment, it's probably the crew from the southern end. North Cronulla has had the sight of the lead, and they're rowing very strongly. Down here on the northern side, we have Bungan in station 1 that's also well positioned. And in number 3, we have Manly. And those 3 crews have got a very slight lead over the balance. It's very interesting in this event. It's a 7-crew race, which is quite strange. It's generally in 6. There must have been a protest somewhere along the line where the 7th crew has gone in, and because the only past Australian Championship crew in it is Bungan Beach, having won it in 1985. All the interest will be is how these crews go around the buoy. And right at the top of our picture, I just saw a sneaking glimpse there of Bungan Beach, but at the moment it's most certainly North Cronulla, Bungan and Palm Beach, and Manly rowing very strongly. And there they are now as they proceed out to sea, and what a lovely picture it is as they go through. Oh, we just saw Michael Jones win these 5th Australian musical flags champion, beach flag championship as we go through there. And what a great effort that was. It's the first time it's ever been done. But there, back to the boat race, we can still see those crews. North Cronulla coming up to the buoys now and putting through. There we see the crew from Manly going through with the Channel 9 crew, and they're rowing very strongly. And you can see all the crews have negotiated a break and on their way back to the beach. But all those crews are now proceeding back to the sea, and they're trying to get every assistance possible for the chops. At the moment, it is Manly and Burnie is rowing very, very strongly. And could Burnie be the upset here? 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're most certainly positioned well on those ones. Over this side, we still have North Cronulla rowing very, very strongly. And in the middle of it, the North Cronulla, we have Fremantle coming through. South Maroubra on the extreme station of number 7 is doing it difficult at the moment. The North Cronulla are getting a beautiful run through on the chop, and coming into the sunlight we see Bungan Beach and also the 3rd crew, which would be Manly, well positioned. Next to Manly is Burnie, and Burnie are running very nicely too. They're heading into the sunlight now. Burnie is straightened up to try and pick up that chop. In front at the moment I put North Cronulla, then to Burnie, and then to over to Bungan Beach. North Cronulla have most certainly got the best of the run, but are they going to have the run to come home? Looking at the position on the beach, they're all perfectly positioned. Maybe the crews down there on the southern side are going to have to straighten up shortly because they're on the extremity of the area. It's North Cronulla in front at the moment. It's Burnie in 2nd place, and then followed through to Bungan Beach right down there in the sunlight. And it's a great finish to this boat championship. In the middle we have Palm Beach making a run now, but it's Bungan Beach holding off Palm Beach, and of course down here on the other side we have Manly and Burnie. So it's anyone's race as they proceed back to the beach. At the moment there's still Bungan Beach running very nicely on that extreme northern side. Coming down very nicely also is North Cronulla, but Bungan Beach are putting in a big one to see if they can come through. Bungan Beach are rowing very strongly in their blue boat, and of course North Cronulla coming through, but Bungan Beach have got the best of the run. It's going to be an upset if they get beaten here today, and they're coming through at the rate of knots. North Cronulla in 2nd place. Burnie are rowing very strongly in 4th position to take up the 2nd place, and they're in station 4, but it's going to be Bungan Beach that are going to go across the line first, and they're rowing. Ross Jorgensen pushing his crew, and have a look at North Cronulla coming home on the run. North Cronulla have picked up a chop and they're coming right through. It'll be Bungan Beach across the line first. In 2nd place will be North Cronulla, and in 3rd place a great battle down there between the crews. Or 2 crews have pulled out, and we'll put the glasses on to pick up that crew as it comes into 3rd place, and it appears to be Palm Beach coming into 3rd place. But what a great finish in that boat championship, with a lot of action out there with the 2 of the crews dropping out.
The result as called by John Donoghue: 1st Bungan Beach, New South Wales for the 2nd year in a row, 2nd North Cronulla, New South Wales, 3rd Palm Beach, New South Wales. The field is lined up for the Ironman Championship of Australia, and police have estimated the crowd here at 25,000 plus, and this is the big one. Barry Woodger, Currumbin in 1. Mark Bennett, Southport in 2. They're both from Queensland. Craig Riddington, Manly in 3. Darren Mercer, Warriewood in 4, junior champion. Grant Kenny, Alexandra Headlands in 5. Dwayne Tyers, the defending champion, in 6. Robert Chapman, Allura. Guy Leach of Manly. John Anderson, Stockton. Sean Kenny, Warriewood. Murray Cox of Manly. Greg Naylor, City of Perth. Trevor Hendy, Surfers Paradise. Greg Mickle, City of Perth. The sequence is ski, board, swim. And they're ready now for the start. And 14 starters are on the way for this sequence, one after the other, of ski, board, swim, the final sprint. With me, John Donoghue.
Well, Norman, we've seen it once today. Can we see it twice, where the positioning for the favourite has won the event? And, of course, we've got some great Ironman out there. Grant Kenny, who is the 4-time winner of this championship. We have Dwayne Ties, who is the defending champion. Of course, we've got Robert Chapman, who's won the event twice. In addition to that, Craig Reddington is performing very, very well throughout the season, particularly in New South Wales, winning 9 out of 11 events. And his club mate in Guy Leach has been well placed also. But we must not forget the Western Australians in Greg Mickle, who's performed creditably throughout the season, both in New South Wales and in Western Australia, and the junior Darren Mercer. Now the ski paddlers have positioned themselves well, going out to the buoy, and of course we see Grant Kenny in front, being the stronger of the ski paddlers, and he most certainly is moved up there at the moment. He's in front. Behind him we see Craig Reddington and Dwayne Ties. Dwayne Ties is the one on the left-hand side of Kenny, and Reddington's in the middle, and we see the other competitors coming through. There's Grant Kenny, and Dwayne Ties, keeping on the outside, has done a good job of getting away from the rest of the field, and we see them bunched up. There's Allura Robert Chapman's there. We see Mark Bennis coming up behind him is Guy Leach. Then going through, there's a whole host. Sean Kenny's just gone through, Barry Woods has gone through, and Surface Paradise has just gone through. But it's Grant Kenny in front, as expected in the first leg of the Ironman, and behind him is Dwayne Ties. Now, look at Dwayne Ties in a position to where he is. Now, he's the strongest board paddler in this event, and most certainly Grant Kenny is the strongest ski paddler, and I think Ties is a very strong swimmer. But have a look at the positioning of the different competitors as they come back. Ties has got the best of the position. Kenny is running on top of the chops, and he's going to have to come back at the end of the race towards the southern area. He's changed his direction now, so the lead he had over Dwayne Ties at the moment. Grant Kenny is in front of him on the northern side, and we see the balance. Robert Chapman coming through very nice. There's Grant Kenny coming in the picture, so you can see the lead changing quite constantly. But both competitors have picked up away. Now look at the great sportsmanship there, how that has changed the lead. We saw the crossover and no difficulty. Kenny most certainly is sitting nicely, and so is Ties. Now that's a great effort for Dwayne Ties, and also for Grant Kenny, but Ties is better positioned because he's most certainly faster on the board. Now there's Ties choosing to run. He's up, he's first into it, and that's a great position for Ties. He's comfortable, he's pumped up, and he's running very strongly. Behind him is Grant Kenny, and behind him we saw Robert Chapman. So it's Dwayne Ties in front at the moment. He's going around the blue and white flag. In third place is Robert Chapman. Behind him is Guy Leach. Then it is to a competitor there coming through very fast from Manly also. And then Mark Bennett from Southport, and Greg Mickle from City of Perth. That's Dwayne Ties. Now you watch what Ties does on this board leg. He's got a great break off the beach, and he's going to put the big ones in to try and spread them out. It's Dwayne Ties at the moment in front of Grant Kenny, further back to Guy Leach back into third place.
As you call them, John, in front at the changeover, Dwayne Ties, Seacliff, South Australia. Grant Kenny, Alexandra Headlands, Queensland. Robert Chapman from Allura, New South Wales in third place. Guy Leach of Manly, New South Wales. Max Reddington, his son. Reddington, Manly, New South Wales. Bennett of Southport, and then Mickle of City of Perth.
Well, just as you talk it, Bennett has gone up into third place there, Norman. But have a look at this and the position. Now behind him we see Chapman in the third picture. Behind him is Bennett. Then to Grant Kenny, and up in front is Dwayne Ties. Now let's concentrate on these four competitors, in particular the one in front at the moment. He's the crowd pleaser at the moment, having won the board race a little earlier, and of course look at him going there. He's positioned himself well. They've gone through the swimming boys at the moment. They're on the way through. He's had a look over his shoulder. Dwayne, I wouldn't be worrying what's over my shoulder. Watch that side chop on your board, because it's very easy for you to come off at this stage. Now he's straightened the board. There's the boy he's going to go around. Get down on your board. You watch the Grant Kenny. Now that was a very clumsy turn by Dwayne Ties. Kenny got around better. Have a look at Chapman coming around at the moment. Now Ties lost a lot of ground. He's picked up a side chop. Have a go at that, running from the buoy. There's a great lift for him. That will spread eagle the field. He's actually run on a side chop behind the boys, coming right through up to the turning buoy, and he's following that right around. Now he's gone too far on it. Dwayne, get back south. You're a long way off course. Now see where he is. He's got to come back. Now he picked up and run on top of that chop. I would have got off it a little bit earlier and most certainly have plugged my right hand in to come across. But he's spread eagle the field at the moment. He's a long way off course. He's given a lot of ground away in the run, and of course he's got that for the swim. And now we see he's turned to the right and he's coming across. Now he's got a difficult task to come home on that. He's a long way in front of the field, just ran on that chop a little too far, and of course he's battling it now. You can see the chop and the spray come over the front of his board, and he's got a big problem there at the moment, but he's picking it up again. He's going to switch course in a moment and decide to run right foul of the field and come in on the other side. There he switched course, and you see him pushing for that top of that chop. He's going to try and run on top of it. You see him dig his right arm in to bring him through. He's going to pick up this chop again, and he's doing it very comfortably. He's going to try and hold this right through. Don't dig in. You'll fall off the back of it. Now he's got to swing the board again left. Don't turn right now. It's too late. He's adjusting on the board for the broken water, and you'll see he'll pick this one up. He'll turn around to the left now to pick it up. He'll run this right through to the beach. He's well positioned at the moment, but out the back they're picking up the... Now here's Dwayne Clyde. He's got a 30-metre lead at the moment. He's on the dry sand and he's running through. Now the minor placings are going to change quite dramatically because there's waves out the back and everyone's on it. But Dwayne Clyde's on the beach. He's the whole length of the beach in front of the boulder, and he's coming through very, very nicely. Into second place coming through is Robert Chapman, then followed by Grant Kenny, then followed by Mark Bennett. So the lead hasn't changed. Robert Chapman has passed Grant Kenny at the moment, gone in second. Now Chapman's a world and a very strong swimmer. Now I don't think you can give this lead to Grant Ties, but I don't think there's any other swimmer other than Craig Riddington that could peg him back. Now it's a long way back to Darren Mercer. He's running about 6th or 7th at the moment, but it's Dwayne Ties, Seacliff, South Australia in front.
Now, as you called him, John, I was keeping my eye on Riddington for you. I knew you'd call him in as a swimmer. Riddington went round in 8th place, and I would say when he entered the water, he was about 60 or 70 metres behind the leader, and he certainly couldn't give him that.
Couldn't give it now. Now, let's look at it now. From our helicopter, we've got Dwayne Ties in front, then followed by Robert Chapman. Behind Robert Chapman, swimming very strongly. There's Ties in front, and we can see now the southeaster chop that's causing the problem to the swimmers, and they're adjusting where they are in the water, the height in the water, and they're breathing. But have a look at the field. Now, down here in this bunch of swimmers is Craig Riddington, who could come through at the rate of knots. He's the fastest swimmer in the field, and he'll be trying to come through. There we have Robert Chapman being followed by Mark Bennett, and over here we have Craig Riddington coming through. Coming up to the white boy, and he sees the double in sight. He sees his second year in a row for the Ironman. It's Dwayne Ties, Seacliff, South Australia. He's around at first. Now he's just got to watch his positioning on the return to the beach.
John, can we make one point that he's going to travel much faster with that chop behind him than those swimmers coming up to the buoys? He could actually increase his lead going along the back of the buoys.
That's exactly where it is. He's got the biggest lead I've seen for years in Ironman Championship. He's got exactly 20-metre lead over the rest of the field in swim, and that's like daylight 2nd, 3rd and 4th, and that's how it's going. But have a look at coming through at the back there, just trying to pick up the swimmer. That's Robert Chapman, still in 2nd place. Behind him, Bennett. Riddington hasn't made the run at the moment, but on the position of returning back to the beach. Let's look at it now. We still have, they're going around the board. Last boy now is Robert Chapman, followed by Mark Bennett, and coming through very closely in that way, it looks like Riddington's Stoke. We can't see the colour of the cap, but Riddington's now making his run for coming at home. We can see him coming home with the rate knock. They won't pick up Dwayne Ties. He's got to make a monumental error to lose this one. But it's Dwayne Ties coming through. There's Craig Riddington, did pick his style. He's going to make a big run for 2nd place. Look at him coming home. Now, Riddington's in the best position to come home, but he can't give that. That's Robert Chapman. He's in 2nd place. And Chapman is swimming very strongly. Look at Riddington coming up on him now. There's Riddington coming down at the rate of knots on the right-hand side. We called him as being the strongest swimmer, and he's going to come in very, very fast. He doesn't have the ground to cover where he can pick up Ties, because Ties has seen the sand, and he's making the big ones home. The interest in the minor placings is, can Riddington pick up Chapman? But at the moment, it's Dwayne Ties, Seacliff, South Australia in front. Robert Chapman, Allura, New South Wales. Craig Riddington, Manly, New South Wales. And they're making their big run to home. Behind him, we see Grant Kenny, and then further back behind him, we see Guy Leach. But at the moment, it's getting back to the beach. There's a wave out the back. It's starting to lift up. Will it lift up enough for the competitors to pick it up? No one will know. It's going to break. They're all going to have a go at it. Riddington's going to push hard. They won't break it. Chapman's pushing hard, but it's going to be Dwayne Ties that picks up the wave. It goes right in the right place. Listen to the crowd. They've gone berserk. It's Dwayne Ties, Seacliff, South Australia, that's had the breaks of the day, has done the effort of the day. He's hit the dry sand, and he's going to run home. There's a victory salute. He's going to run home for the second year in succession to win the Johnson Wax Ironman Championship of Australia. And there's Dwayne Ties going across the line first in this championship. A great run for second place, and Robert Chapman has developed the legs, and he's running home into second place. And behind him, after a great swim, Craig Riddington from Manly, New South Wales, and behind him, 5 times champion of Australia, Grant Kenny, and behind him, Guy Leach, Coolangatta Gold. What a great race, what a great win to Dwayne Ties, Seacliff, South Australia.
You just couldn't imagine the emotional burst from the crowd when the winner, Dwayne Ties, caught that wave. The roar that went up here from 25,000 people here at Moana had to be really seen and experienced to be here for that tremendous win. Robert Chapman running second, Craig Riddington third, Grant Kenny fourth, Guy Leach in 5th place. We're going to see it again if we can watch the replay of what happened here. The dramatic finish to the race, and the second and third place getters almost got it, and there he is.
There's Ties. He's had not only the effort of the day, he has the luck running with him. Remember, he caught that beautiful wave behind the boys on the board that spread eagled him. He's picked up the wave, which the others have missed. He's hit the dry sand. He's had a look around. He's seen the crowd on his way. The crowd are exploding at this particular stage. And, of course, Dwayne Ties is now on the last 20 metres to the second Ironman Championship for him, and it could mean many big dollars for him too.
Here then is the official result of the Ironman Championship of Australia. First was Dwayne Ties of Seacliff in South Australia. Second, Robert Chapman of Lura, New South Wales. And third, Craig Riddington, also from New South Wales, from the Manly Club.
Well, Dwayne, I guess any win's a good win in the National Ironman Championship, but here in South Australia in front of a home crowd, does it mean anything more to you this year than last?
Well, it's an opportunity that I probably will never ever get again in my lifetime, so to actually go into the event reigning champion when it's in your own state, you got to be lucky, I suppose, and then to win again, well, yeah, that's something which I'm going to remember for a long time.
It was a pretty strong field. Was there anyone in particular, though, out of all of them, who you're looking out for?
Well, I've been asked that question so many times throughout the weekend, and then, you know, there's a handful of guys that are really good. You know, the Riddo, Chapo, Grant Kenny, Guy Leach. You know, they're all competent board and ski paddlers, and they're really, really good swimmers. So there wasn't one particular person that I was looking out for, because, you know, there's just more than one. There's a heap of them.
What about the draw? Obviously, you know the local conditions. Given the conditions and given your own strengths, were you happy with the draw?
Well, no. I heard the draw yesterday, and the guy read out ski first, and then there was a big pause, and I was just waiting for something else but board, and board came up, and then I thought, oh no, it's exactly the same as last year. You know, I wanted something different, but that's what we didn't get, so that was all right. Well, it's all right now.
Turned out okay. At what stage of the race, also given the big margin, did you think that you finally had it won?
Well, just coming in, I could hear the crowd, like my head was in the water, and I could hear this huge roar, and I saw this hand over the front of the wave, and then I knew, you know, that I was going to get that one, and whoever, you know, the other guys, they missed it, so it was all over.
Tremendous. Congratulations on a great win, Dwayne.
Thanks very much.
And that brings to an end the exciting coverage of the Australian Surf Life Saving Championships from Moana Beach in South Australia. Don't forget, next year, the event will be coming to you on the ABC from Scarborough Beach in Western Australia. Cheerio, Norman May for ABC Sport.